I was drinking my Dr. Pepper.
As you do.
As I do whenever I eat. And
as you do.
And he was like, yeah, someone comes up and gives me an ice cup, and they start handing me the $100, and he got, like, really wide-eyed. Like, he was actually staring at a $100 bill. And he was like, it's 27 cents. And he looked up at me like, it's 27 cents. I was like, it shot out of my mouth. I was like, I couldn't. I ran to the bathroom. I was like, I can't hold my drink.
How many times has soda shot out your nose from laughter?
I don't know.
Because I can only count once. I can only say that's happened to me one time. At an appropriately funny event.
But it was so like, he was like, he acted like he accepted the $100, and he looks up and he goes, it's 20.
But Master, it's only 27 cents. You've given me too much. Dobby can't accept this.
Make sure you silence your phone, though.
It's not. Okay, so I wanted to wait till we started capture, but we've started capture, and now we're good.
Wait, what?
So you said your theory.
Wait, we're recording?
Yes.
When?
Yes, Joey. So,
okay.
Tomatate is dead. For sure.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Well, not in this one. Not yet.
Well, he's dead.
No, he's not.
Takano took a bike.
But we don't know for
He's dead as fuck.
We don't...
Okay, so if
sure.
it's consistent, Tomatake is dead and Takano is dead.
Okay.
You think she's not dead.
No.
I think she is dead. And you want to know why?
A demon possessed her body?
Nope.
Oh. Okay.
Think about where she died. And think about who
In the
likes
last one?
Yeah, think about where she died. She died in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
How much you want to bet she died to one of Satoko's traps?
And it was just a coincidence.
Because I was rewatching a lot of the previous videos of Higurashi for like the next best of, and it was brought to my attention that some of Satoko's traps are lethal, and that Keiichi actually brings it up. And it's like, these traps can kill people. She's like, fine, and like moves a nail over so it doesn't impale them in the head when they fall over. What if some of her traps are still lethal? And like, Takano's like, I've killed him, now I can get to my... Dead. And it's just a comedy of errors. That's my thought.
That's wishful thinking, Blake.
It's just like, poor Takano can never get away with murder. Okay. Stalling enough time as it has been. Welcome back to Higurashi. When they cry.
Wait, which one's ours?
Tatarigoroshi. It's the most recent one, dude. Remember what we've been doing?
No.
We save each chapter. We're future-proofing.
What?
In case something goes wrong, we can go back.
When did we do that?
Fucking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos ago.
How long ago was that?
5 videos ago.
You know what I mean.
And then you. Higurashi no Nakukoro ni Tatarigoroshi is continuing. Ma.
All set.
All good.
Did we already...
Yes, I did it. I did it already. I did it. Yeah.
Wait, what am I doing?
You don't have a hat on.
Oh no!
You don't have a hat. I got hats in that drawer. Emergency hats. They're not the interesting hats. They're literally emergency hats.
Emergency.
Because
wear it like a cool kid. Whatcha?
You are the coolest.
Blake's like, please don't wear my hats like that. Alright, fine, Blake. Since it's your
No, like be the cool like Pokemon trainer. So like, it's like, now I'm serious, and you should take me seriously.
We shall.
Super serial.
Battle.
Super serial.
No flinking.
Okay.
Alright.
Let's get it on. Chapter 11.
What's gonna happen?
At first, I thought it was a dream.
Just a dream.
I was staring at this strange sheet, not really understanding what it was. That was all. I didn't go after it, nor did I ridicule it. The fact was that the boring view was the ceiling of my own room, but I didn't realize that for a fairly long time. Yes. I thought I had been dreaming, but I had actually been staring at the ceiling the whole time. Lethargy induced by the voices of the cicadas. Even after I realized I was awake, I couldn't draw forth the energy to sit up. Everything I could see, everything I could hear, everything was like a television broadcast that had already ended. It was hot. So hot. I could choke on the heat. My back was moist with night sweats, and it felt gross. Unable to endure it any longer, I tossed in my futon, and finally blood started coursing through my brain. I lazily recalled the long day I had yesterday. The reality, as I lay here listening to the voices of the cicadas, and yesterday, so different from it. In order to kill Satoko's uncle, I had rehearsed, formulated a plan, and dug a hole. It was very hot, and I was tired, wasn't I? When evening came, I went to school and called him out on the phone. I panicked for a moment when he asked where the police station was, but it worked out. And then I awaited him and swooped down. I couldn't remember anymore what sort of emotions I'd let control my body. In any case, it didn't go smoothly, but I did it. It was very hard to dig the hole for the body. That feel of the rain pelting down on me, I don't think I'll ever forget it. The rain, the mud, and the sprays of blood. The sensation of floundering in a swamp. When I met Takano-san on the way home, that wasn't good. No matter how I interpret it. It was the most misfortunate and uncalculated thing that happened that night.
It's the moist.
It was the moist thing that happened. Everything would have been perfect if only I hadn't encountered her. I was just riding my bike with the shovel in one hand through the downpour, utterly soaked. There was no way someone could surmise I was a murderer burying a body just from that information. Now that I was thinking calmly, napping under the morning sun, that's what I thought. Still, the more I think about Takano-san's eyes, it seemed like she understood. Takano-san, she knew that I'd killed someone, buried them, and then I'd been on my way home, exhausted. Takano-san wouldn't gain anything from selling me out to the police, but that didn't mean I could feel at ease. I should have killed her. I had crossed such a bridge to get my tranquil life back, and I had finally achieved it as a result. But now, for the rest of my life, for all the tranquil days starting today, I'd have to live in fear of when they could suddenly end. I may have twisted my ankle, dulled from total exhaustion. The fact that I couldn't make the snap judgment I needed to, I regretted it more and more as time went on. You didn't have a choice, Keiichi Marubara. You didn't have any choice at the time. You were tired. You were a mess. Even if you had made the decision, you might not have been able to kill her. She might have just beaten you instead. In that sense, parting ways uneventfully could have been the safer option. No matter how sharp Takano-san's intuition was, she had no proof. Her suspecting me didn't amount to evidence by itself. Logically, I know that. But that doesn't mean I have nothing to worry about, does it? Just worry about it when the time comes. Now isn't the time to be worrying. This is the time to be smiling, right? You accomplished so much just to gain a new life starting today, didn't you? And you should be happy at this new morning. If remembering the past is too hard for you, then just consider everything up to yesterday as having never happened. You said so yourself. You'd bury it all like it never happened. Well, your wish came true. Everything before yesterday never happened. So be happy, Keiichi Marubara. Yay. Stuck in my hands lazily.
Yay!
Hey, I'm a murderer.
Wait.
Hey. It felt a little silly for me to be the one doing it. I heaved a sigh from deep in my belly. That sigh got my lungs moving. Felt like I hadn't been breathing it until just now. It wasn't enough to admonish myself over. All the dice that could be thrown had already had been. And the numbers that turned up weren't bad at all. If I lost with those numbers, then I'd just have to give up, I guess. I grabbed the chest of my pajamas and flapped it back and forth. Cool air flowed over my sweating body. Okay. Nothing before yesterday happened. Nothing. Nothing at all. I'd forget it all. Yesterday was all a dream. What time is it? About midday? Getting myself up and going to school this late seemed kind of absurd, but I needed to go. I felt like going to school would be the first step into my peaceful new life. I didn't care how late it was, I would go. I'd go to school right now and get back to the life I had retaken as soon as I could. My lazy body immediately became lighter at the thought. I rolled up out of the futon, bounced onto my knees, and leaped upright. Nice, stuck the landing.
Yeah! Yeah! I get it!
I stuck out my chest with pride as at my gymnast-like pose, then took a deep breath of fresh air. I'm a gymnast! The brisk morning air had been gone for a while, replaced by the crisp air of summer. Downstairs, I got a stern talking to by my mother. Where were you last night? When did you get back? You didn't tell me when you won't be home for dinner, things like that. But considering the importance of what I'd accomplished yesterday, a little scolding was no problem. In fact, it even felt like the sort of things that would happen in such a peaceful life. I listened with an irresponsible smile and stepped out into the sun high overhead. It was around the time lunch break would be ending. Everyone would probably be worrying about me. I didn't go to the festival, and now I wasn't at school. Well, maybe they weren't too worried about it. Since they would have gotten a small piece of news, but a happy one from Satoko today. Yes, the small piece of news that her uncle hadn't come home last night. Satoko would probably live her days in nervous tension for a while, thinking he might still come home. But eventually those days would end. And finally Satoko, too, would realize her uncle was never coming back. And then Rika-chan would quietly invite her. She would say, "You can live with me again." And everything would be back to normal. Our lives would go back to how they were before that man appeared. Satoko would start wearing that extraordinary smile, complete with those protruding canines, and fool everyone with those traps she was so proud of. I'd probably be her first target out of everyone, but that wouldn't be bad. In fact, I might actually shed tears of joy at the return to something so normal. Satoko. She'd gradually grow back into that meddlesome personality of hers. I mean, my lack of useful life skills was already completely exposed. I wonder if I'd ever be a match for Satoko. That would be such a pleasant thing to see, too. With such warm, fuzzy predictions, I didn't feel bad for going to school so late. In fact, I wanted to run there now to get there as soon as I could. Instead, I decided to save the peacefulness of just going to school like normal without running. The worlds I had obtained for myself, that gave me joy just by walking like this. Yes. The world beginning on this very day was something I had won. Without that monumental feat yesterday, I would never have been able to come to school so cheerfully today. The school gate came into sight. Just then I had heard the principal ringing the bell to mark the end of lunch break. It was a clear, refreshing sound. I stopped despite myself and let myself take it in. Tap. I had stopped suddenly. So there was an extra footstep. With a noise, the blessedness I was feeling throughout my whole body withdrew into any pore it could find. And as if to replace it, I felt like hundreds of hairy caterpillars were climbing up my feet. I turned back, but of course nobody was there. A single footstep could have easily been my imagination. But the footstep felt so ominous. That extra footstep I had heard after seeing Takano-san off last night. Everything that happened in that insane night. I didn't mind something like that happening once. It had been a hell of a night after all. In fact, having just one hallucination was pretty fortunate. But those footsteps should have ended with yesterday. So if I heard them again today, it was really only one thing it could have meant. Last night still wasn't over. It was still going. Still. That insane night. Forever. The step I heard. Just that one extra footstep was quietly ridiculing the nonsensical notion that the world starting today was completely different from the one that ended yesterday. My classmates playing in the schoolyard all vanished inside like the tide going out. When I approached the school, it felt like that warm, fuzzy scene had ended, and it didn't feel good. At the entrance, I took a quick look in everyone's shoeboxes. Satoko Hojo. She was here. Mion was here too. And Reina, of course. Even Rika-chan was here. Tomita-kun and Argamuku were here. In fact, I didn't see any missing classmates. If there were shoes missing, they would have to be my own. I took my shoes off and stuck them in, then took out some slippers. There wasn't a single pair left in the shoeboxes anymore. With that, they returned to their rightful state. But as I stepped up onto the wooden floor, I noticed there was just one pair of slippers left. Huh. Whose? Satoshi Hojo. Satoshi, who had never been to school since, disappearing last year. Until now, we had committed the exact same act of violence, but I guess in the very end, it went differently. You couldn't make it to school, but here I am. I didn't repeat the same mistake you did. I wasn't about to let myself feel superior about that. In fact, I felt an odd sense of familiarity with him. A misfortunate bond with someone I'd never met due to following the same fate. I headed down the hallway toward the usual classroom. Felt like it had been a whole year since coming here. Hey, did you forget Keiichi Marubara? Satoshi Hojo didn't really disappear on the night of the Watanagashi, did he? Satoshi Hojo disappeared a few days later. On Satogo's birthday, if I was right. I don't know what day it was, but I couldn't say for sure I had avoided Satoshi's failure unless I remained here past that day. I was still living in that night of insanity. The teacher still hadn't come to the classroom. The other door clattered open, the one the teacher wouldn't use, so everyone turned at once to see who had arrived. Everyone looked pretty vacant. Suppose I'll greet them. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I do thank you for coming all the way out here today. Silence. When I started to think I'd fallen flat, someone finally started laughing for me. Good morning, Kei-chan. You're pretty energetic today.
Yeah, energetic! Maybe you haven't gotten out of the festive mood yet. Oh!
Hearing Mion and Reina's cheerful voices made me realize how dumb those dark feelings I'd been having at the entrance really were. Hey now, festive mood. I wasn't at the festival at all, remember? Before I could say that, Rika-chan smiled at me. Keiichi, did you make sure to watch my dance?
Yep! He saw it just fine. Did you see how big of an applause he gave you?
And he ignored it when that blockhead Shion came up and made a pass at him. Take that, Shion. Wow, that felt good. Mion starts laughing at the memory as she slaps me a few times on the back. So, how did that target practice contest turn out in the end? Tomita-kun was facing me and talking. There was nobody behind me. I mean, he was talking to me. Tomitaki turned up dead last. Everyone had a good time with this punishment game. Were you supposed to be the one in last place, Rika-chan? It was such a turnaround when you pulled off getting that chewing gum. I should have expected that from a member of my club. It was fantastic. Crying at a time like that is a feat only Furide would be allowed to do. Said Okamura-kun, breathing heavily from his nose. Crying at a time like that is a feat only Furide would be allowed to do. My direction. Everyone laughed. If anyone but Rika-chan had done it, it would have been against the rules. Rika-chan gave me one of her Nippa smiles as she listened to it. In my direction. Reina-tun turned to me. No, turned towards me. And then with a somewhat embarrassed smile, she whispered to me so only I could hear.
But really, thanks, Keiichi-kun.
For what?
My giant stuffed animal. I was really happy. It's nice to see it right at my bedside. And I made sure to give it a goodnight kiss before bed, too. Oh!
The class laughed at that, cheering and jeering. This whole time, the conversation had been a little bit off. I wasn't quite getting it. What's this? About a stuffed animal.
What's this? Come on, we all worked really hard at the festival yesterday to get it down, remember? A gigantic stuffed animal.
A gigantic stuffed animal. Ren seemed taken aback, but when she answered, she did it with a smile.
We were having a hard time knocking it over, so we tried aiming at the forehead and rapid fire shooting and stuff. And then Kichi-kun, you got a whole bunch of guns ready beforehand and shot them all. It was so cool. Oh!
Wait, who was this? All the people in the neighborhood association, including the chairman, were praising you so much at the party afterwards. One of them said he'd fallen in love with your way with words. Tokuzo Kimiyoshi, chairman of the children's committee, I think. He said he wanted you to entrust you with a few of the stalls in the next festival. Tokuzo is the chair of the refreshment booths. He's on the festival executive committee. Things are getting really weird. At first I thought they were just playing it off. It's just like, oh, he was totally with us, but now it's like, what the fuck is actually happening right now?
Do you remember the last chapter? When they had the shooting contest?
That was the first one.
That was the first one?
That was the first one.
Sorry. It's been a while. But they had that shooting contest, and he knocked it over by rapid firing.
Yes, they're exactly talking about what happened in the first one. Raises some questions, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Arbar-san isn't great at making things sound cool. Yeah. Hold on. Water. It's funny. My nose was not giving me trouble until I started doing the caption. And now it's giving me all sorts of trouble. Yay! Marabar-san isn't great at making things sound good, isn't he? Yeah, whenever he talks about something, it seems a lot better than it actually is. You can't say that.
Kichi-kun, he'd be a great salesman. If you did a bargain sale of bananas or something, I bet it would go great.
What have you been talking about? I mean, I didn't go to the festival in the first place. I swallowed those words. I didn't know exactly why, but in Anamizawa, this is what had happened. Yesterday, during the Watanagashi festival, Keiichi Marabara had appeared. And he had romped about with all the usual members of his club. He made a big scene at a few of the stalls, snatched a few sticks of takoyaki, and okonomi... That's a weird place for the Y. It's a really weird place for the Y, and it's throwing me off. I'm gonna ignore it. In his glee, rating each of them as delicious or terrible to get everyone excited. And they'd seen a gigantic stuffed animal at the target practice game, and everyone went after it. And then I got a whole bunch of the cork guns, firing them in rapid succession, throwing each one away after using it. And admirably, I shot down the biggest stuffed animal there. And then I gave the stuffed animal the proof of my victory to Reina as a gift. Then our fun came to a close as we had to go see Rika-chan's offertory dance. There was a ton of people squeezed in there. We all got separated, but we each managed to get in good positions to cheer Rika-chan on from. And in the middle, when Shion came up and asked me to go hang out with her instead of watching the dedication dance, I refused. And stayed put, watching the dance until the very end. But who? Who was that? Well, everyone's been saying it, haven't they? Keiichi Marabara. I had an urge to yell in anger at my classmates for having so much fun talking about the festival yesterday with Keiichi Marabara. Oops. What the hell are you even guys? What the hell are you guys even talking about? Far stronger than that feeling, though, was the sheer uncanny nature of this reality I couldn't understand. A Keiichi Marabara who wasn't me was in Amiyazawa yesterday. So I threw away my humanity, turned into a demon, and was busy beating Satogo's uncle to death. I was having a great time at the festival last night.
I was in
What?
2 places at once.
The hell? I had to suffer through so much. desperately holding back tears. Getting so worn out in that downpour. Digging holes, chasing, beating, killing. Dragging and burying. Who was this Keiichi Marabara who had ignored me so and spent such a fun, carefree time at the festival, damn it? Who the hell stood in for me as I put my life on the line working so hard to achieve this treasure-like everyday life? If there was another Keiichi Marabara beside me, then what was I? On the night of Watanagashi, where one died and one disappeared in accordance with Orishiro-sama's curse, there was only a demon who had killed someone. Dumbfounded as I succumbed to a horrifying possibility, I looked around at my classmates to make sure there was nobody extra I didn't recognize among them. To make sure I wasn't among them. It was a horrifying thought. That the real Keiichi Marabara hadn't overslept and had come to school on time, and that I, who was no longer Keiichi Marabara, had just waltzed in here. No matter how much I checked, the only people who here were the ones I knew. The man I met every time I looked in the bathroom mirror. He's not here.
Okay, everyone. Time to start afternoon classes. Please take your seats. President, please lead the class.
Teacher entered and everyone hurried back to their seats, covering their ears. Upon finding me, who was so stupidly late, she gave me a stern talking to, but I wasn't listening to it. Wasn't our old life supposed to start today? Something wasn't right. It was just strange. I was supposed to go back to my old, fun life after yesterday. I had set foot in an incomparably mysterious world that was completely different from both my old life and my recent one. Yes, this was without a doubt a different world than the one I had been living until now. There's no way such an absurd thing could be possible. But unless it was true, I couldn't explain anything that just happened. In this classroom, I was surrounded by so many faces I knew, and yet I felt so isolated. The cicadas sounded no different than they had before now, but they seemed somehow false. The air was parched and dry, too, making me think, is the air in Namizawa always this uncomfortable? We haven't seen Satoko yet.
Yeah, she didn't say anything.
Hey, Reina.
What is it? We're in class.
About the festival yesterday. About... when would you say I got there?
Huh?
To be honest, I was pretty excited afterwards, and I gobbled down some cans of beer. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, but I don't quite remember some things. Random babbling wasn't a bad excuse.
Kiichi-kun, you said you couldn't come at first, didn't you? You called Mii-chan's house about it, right?
That matched. I called Mion and told her to take Satoko in my place since I wouldn't be able to meet up with them due to things I had to do.
We all decided we were setting up for the festival and we'd invite Satoko-chan. We wanted to bring her out someplace where she couldn't see her uncle for a little while.
I was the same too. Mion said that when I called her. That everyone had already decided to invite her.
And then we all went, Mii-chan and Rika-chan and Satoko-chan's house, and brought her out. Satoko-chan's uncle seemed like a really mean person.
That part didn't matter. What I was trying to ask was... when did I meet up with you?
How could you forget that? Kiichi-kun, I think you shouldn't be drinking until you're an adult.
Whatever. When did I meet up with you?
Well...
At my sudden threatening demand, Reina was at a loss for words. Oops, I shouldn't have rushed that. I told her I was sorry. It was at the shrine grounds. It was unexpected. You were talking to Rika-chan, weren't you?
Yep. You were having a fun talk with Rika-chan in her shrine maiden outfit. And then Reina come up and said, "Hello, I'm taking you home."
I was talking to Rika-chan. And I asked Kei-chan, didn't you have something to do today? And then you pounded your chest and said it yourself. That letting loose at a festival is more important than some silly errand. I didn't say that. I never said anything like that. I never even went to the shrine grounds yesterday to begin with. I never had the time to stop by a place like that. I went to dig the hole as soon as I woke up. I had a pretty hard time doing it. After that, I snuck into the school and made a call. I called him out and lay in wait. And then it started raining really hard. With that kind of downpour, the festival should have come to a halt. In other words, it ended then. From the time the festival started to when it ended, it would have been impossible for me to have swung by the shrine grounds. I was already there when Mion and the others dragged Satoko out and brought her to the shrine, and I was talking to Rika-chan. Then where would Rika-chan say we met? Teacher went out to wash her hands, so I ran over to Rika-chan's desk and asked her directly. With you? Yeah. We were talking to each other before Mion and the others got there, right? When did we see each other? When and where? I don't know what you're trying to ask. I drank so much beer I lost some of my memory. I don't remember a thing. It looked like Rika-chan bought into my babbling. We saw each other when the mayor and the others came out of the assembly hall. You were in front of the ritual implement storehouse. Okay. Huh? What? Alright. Are these
Intertwining?
Are they starting to get mixed with each other? Are we seeing some crossover between paths?
And that step he keeps hearing, is that just him, like, intertwining in...
Like, he's doing this before, but, like, he's just hearing it at a different pace?
Yeah.
Like, it could be him. And it's just Groundhog's Day. And they're just getting mixed up with each other now. Now the stories are all mixed. We can't get anything straight now. It's super weird. The ritual implement storehouse? Because this is chapter 2 stuff.
Yeah.
We were getting chapter 1 stuff, now we're getting chapter 2.
Remember Shion taking a swing at... Bruh!
I'd never heard a building called that before. Or maybe I have, but at the very least I wouldn't know where on the shrine grounds it was. The mayor got real angry at you since you shouldn't go near holy places without authority, remember? Keiichi, did you forget that too? I was too scared to ask anymore. The more I asked, the more it became clear without any doubt that Keiichi Marabara was present at the Furude Shrine grounds during the Western Higurashi festival. The clearer that became. No more doubts, no fears I had. Who on earth was I yesterday? Whoever that was, he had a good time in my place and managed to go the entire day without letting them notice I wasn't there. Alright. When did that person leave everyone? This morning, my mother got mad at me for having stayed out so late last night. Which meant at the very least that Keiichi Marabara hadn't come home while my mother was still awake. The festival would have been closed because of the downpour. If I recall right, when I went back to the house's storage room to get another shovel, I think the clock said 7. So it was already raining hard by then, the festival would have had to close down before 7. If I'd returned that early, I would have definitely run into my parents. Or at the very least, they wouldn't have asked me when I got back last night. So the Keiichi Marabara from yesterday, that meant he never went home. That meant the downpour happened, the festival was broken up, everyone left. But he didn't go back to the house. That means... When I arrived at the natural conclusion, a wicked chill suddenly froze my spine and climbed up to my brain. That meant Keiichi Marabara was the same as Satoshi. One day, he never went home. On the night of Watsunagashi, he never went home. The downpour interrupted the festival, and on the way home, he suddenly disappeared. And I, who was dealing with the corpse, went home without a problem. I was so tired I wasn't even hungry, so I went up to my room without a sound and crawled into my futon. Who was I? That much was obvious. Keiichi Marabara. Keiichi Marabara was me. There may have been another one, but that doesn't negate the fact that I was Keiichi Marabara. Then that other Keiichi Marabara was what? The voices of the cicadas, steadily filling the classroom, were beginning to bother me. Suddenly I had laid eyes on Satoko. Here we go. Satoko's expression was dark as always. She seemed completely exhausted at a life of agony she couldn't even imagine an ending to. what had last night been like for Satoko? Did she have fun with everyone and feel a little happier, if even for a moment? And when she went home, the end of her dream, she'd probably gone to sleep afraid of when her uncle would return. And then this morning, her uncle hadn't come home. And then she went to school. Right now she must have been still trapped by the rotten idea from which she couldn't be saved, that her uncle would need her when she got back. But you can rest easy, Satoko. Your uncle won't ever be coming back. I couldn't tell her it was because I killed him. When Satoko realized on her own that her uncle would never return, then that would truly be the end of the long, insane night. That's right. I didn't do anything wrong. I did the best possible thing I could have as this thing. I did the best possible thing I could have as Satoko's Nini. Not an atom in my body regretted it. And look, calm down and think, Keiichi Marubara. From a certain point of view, isn't it convenient there was another Keiichi Marubara? I buried the corpse perfectly. A beginning wouldn't happen. But if worse came to worse and it got out, and the investigation got to me, I know I had a strong alibi, able to profess the fact that I'd been at the Watanagashi festival. But accepting something so creepy and using it as an alibi, still, if I proved I hadn't gone to the festival yesterday and it would do no good and a whole lot of harm. That was what left the really actually bad aftertaste. But forget about it, Keiichi Marubara. Everything that happened before the day. So just forget about the Keiichi Marubara who was there yesterday, too. Instead, let's watch gently over Satoko for the day her smile returns. The day that would mark the end of that insane, all-too-long night.
So my question is, did he even kill Satoko's uncle in this world?
That's a great question.
If he crossed the worlds.
If we cross world lines, we're going Steins Gate rules.
That's all for today, class. Please go straight back to your homes, everyone. President, if you would.
Everybody stand up. At attention. Bow. Goodbye. Thought about many things, and so my thoughts dispersed by many other things. I didn't know whether or not that time had been spent worrying or daydreaming, but either way, it came to an end along with the class. Cheerfully, our classmates got their things and ran for the hallway. Mio and Reina and Rika-chan were packing up as well. What about Satoko? This whole day, she seemed deflated. Well, her uncle may have not returned last night, but she wouldn't have known he never returned. How much I wanted to express that fact to her. Satoko packed up her pencil box and math book, her workbook, messily. And after a dark glance at the clock, heaved a sigh. Then went to leave the classroom. And suddenly somebody placed a hand on her shoulder and stopped her. What is it? I wanted the plants like I was supposed to, and got all the printouts done. Her words, possessed by a persecution complex, hurt. I spoke loudly so everyone could hear. Hey everyone, why don't we have a club today? It's been a while. Satoko always had to tend to her uncle, so club has been on hiatus. In our minds, our club was proof of a calm, peaceful life. By enjoying being together, I wanted to make Satoko realize her days of darkness were over.
I'm okay. I'll do it.
Me. Well, I mean, I don't mind. If it's okay with Satoko. Under a condition. That was important. With everything up to her, Satoko gave a worried look. Come on, Satoko, it's been a long time. Let's go crazy. Let's go nuts. Well, I'm happy you feel that way, but my uncle might already be home. Thus spoke her darkened eyes, her mouth unmoving. You've been choking on life every day for a while. You must be about to suffocate. That's not good for your mind or body. Once in a while, you've got to have some fun. Please leave it alone. It's not like I don't want to do club again. It's one word, but... She looked down. Satoko, you know as well as anyone that it's more fun being with everyone, right? We're friends. That means we can spend time with each other. I mean, you had a great time at the festival yesterday with everyone, didn't you? Reina nearly said something, but she was too late. Keiji-san, what are you saying? My arm on her shoulder seemed to weigh her down. She threw it off. When exactly was I playing and having fun at the festival? The only one having fun was you, Keiji-san. Huh? I looked over to Mion for help. Now everyone was looking down. My instincts told me that Satoko hadn't gone to the festival. But Reina said it herself, that she went with Mion to Satoko's house to invite her.
Satoko-chan left on the way there. She didn't go to the shrine.
Why? I realized the absurdity of what I just said with Satoko in front of me. She said her uncle was waiting at home and she couldn't have fun by herself when we were in front of the shrine.
We tried to stop her too. We told her uncle was okay and that he wouldn't get mad if she had a good time.
At some point, tears began welling up in Satoko's eyes. Satoko was so afraid of her uncle that she couldn't even allow herself time with her friends and went home. Oh, she was even afraid of letting herself have a good time with her friends. Keiji-san, you must have it nice, having a blast at the festival all night. They told me you went all out, didn't you? I'm very envious. Smiling to herself, her tears began to fall. I must provide for my uncle. It's completely different from you. It's how you let your parents do everything. Satoko. I'm so glad you enjoyed yourself at the festival. I'm so glad you had enough fun for me too. I mean, I want to participate in the club too. Making such a racket with everyone is so much fun. But right now, I can't. I can't. I'm unable to withstand such violent emotion. A few teardrops slid down her cheek. But even though she was having such a terrible time, not once did she ever say that it was hard for her. It was a sad, obstinate bravery. But the days when Satoko had to feel like that were over. Satoko didn't need to endure it, to bear it anymore. She could forget all about it now and smile. I was so frustrated not being able to tell her that directly. Instead, I said something that I'm not sure I should have said, before I thought twice about it. He didn't come home, did he? Words were deeply meaningful to me, but I didn't know if Satoko understood them. Didn't come home? Who? He didn't come home last night, did he? Your uncle. What are you talking about, Keiji-san? Satoko shouted with all her might. When has he not been there? When? When? Calm down. I mean, he didn't come home yesterday, did he? I don't understand. What are you trying to say, Keiji-san? Satoko, what are you talking about? I mean, that man, I killed him. Killed him yesterday. Killed him for sure. And I buried him. Buried him whole. He could never return to his house. Even yesterday, he was torturing me so much. He yelled at me. He shouted at me. He found fault with everything I did. He threw the dinner I made him on the floor. He dumped his bowl of miso soup on me, too. It was hot. It was messy. And he cleaned all of it up. I cleaned all of it. What? Our stories weren't matching up. And this morning, when he woke me up to make him breakfast, he got so mad at me. He would have gotten mad at me whether I gotten up or not. Satoko! Rika-chan went over to Satoko and said a few words of consolation, but Satoko angrily refused those words and thrust Rika-chan away. Nini! Nini! Come back! Come back! Crying Satoko slowly walked out into the hallway. After a moment, Rika-chan went after her. I couldn't stop thinking about the words Satoko had spoken while crying. I buried your uncle last night. But she said this morning. That was impossible. I buried him last night. She couldn't have seen her uncle this morning. What was Satoko? At that point, I heard Mion's cold voice. Hey, Kei-chan. What did you mean about Satoko's uncle? No. Well,
See here, Mion.
so this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down. I said too much. I let my emotions get the better of me.
Raina heard it too. You said Satoko-chan's uncle didn't come home.
Why? Why didn't he come home?
That's strange. Satoko-chan's uncle was right there this morning, wasn't he?
Oh,
And
no.
why would you say he didn't go back? Come back.
Oh, no.
Kei-chan, you've been saying weird things for a while. Suddenly, Mion and Reina started to speak in strange and creepy voices. What were they doing? What were they saying? Kei-chan, is it somehow inconvenient for you for Satogo's uncle to be around? No! What are you talking about? Of course it would be better if Satogo's uncle wasn't here.
Yep. That's true, of course. If only you weren't here, right?
Something wasn't right.
What is it right here?
The next thing I knew, Mion and Reina were smiling thinly, and their eyes were dark and muddy in a way that I'd never seen before. And as our eyes met, the mud seemed to fill the air. Satogo's uncle is an awful person, no doubt. I think we'd all be better off with him gone just as much as you do. But he's here. There's nothing we can do, right? Nothing we can do. Something's wrong. Something's clearly wrong here. What the hell is happening? After a moment, a chilly liquid-like feeling as though my blood had been mixed with sherbet crawled up my spine. No choice. No choice, I mean. Of course there isn't, but then Satoko will never...
If there's no choice, what would you do?
Reina was trying to prompt me to say more. There was really no choice, so I killed him. I killed him to protect Satoko. That's... Leave him alone. I think things will resolve themselves soon enough.
Satoko-chan said her uncle was here, so he's here. He was here yesterday, and he's here today. She said so it's fine, right? Right?
Mion and Reina are speaking unbelievably dismissively. How could they be talking like that? Mion and Reina, they were my friends and were seriously worried about Satogo's abuse, weren't they? They would never blurt out something like this. And I definitely killed Satogo's uncle!
I whacked him a couple times.
No matter what Satoko or anyone else says, I wouldn't acknowledge it because him being alive was impossible. There was no other way he is alive. It was impossible. And yet, since Satoko herself said he was here, then he was alive. I don't know why or how, but suddenly Mion and Reina were at my side, standing there silently. Let's go home, Kei-chan.
After we leave, Raina wants to go treasure hunting for the first time in a while. Mi-chan is coming too.
Kei-chan, you should come along.
Oh, no.
Of course, you're not allowed to refuse. If words could freeze blood, then there was no doubt that they would have frozen me solid. I could hear it, a layer of thin ice, the sound of all my muscles tensing. And with them closely at my sides, we left the school as if they were police officers taking me away. They talked about silly things the entire way home like they always did, but they always stood at my sides as if to prevent me from escaping. This was strange. Everything about this day was strange. Actually, it had been strange ever since the previous night. Yes, thinking back, it had been strange ever since killing Satogo's uncle. That creepy meeting with Takano-san was only the beginning. That insane night was still continuing. Yes, it still hadn't ended. What? What's wrong, Kei-chan? Why did you suddenly stop? Sorry, it's nothing. When I stopped, it was distant, but I definitely heard them. An extra set of footsteps. That was proof. Proof that insane night hadn't ended. Mia left where she usually did, and finally we came to my house.
Okay, Kichi-gun. Wait here for me. Raina will come to pick you up soon.
What was it? She was inviting me along on one of her oversized garbage treasure hunts at the dam site, right? But why now? Mion coming along was strange too. Mion may have accepted Reina's little hobby, but she hated fishing through garbage, so she'd never come with her before. And the location specifically being the dam site was a little creepy. The dam construction site was completely outside the flow of everyday life. It was so remote that no one ever went there unless they thought to it in particular. Nobody lived there, there were no lights, so at night it got dark very quickly. I was being forcibly invited there. There was no reason I had to fear Reina and Mion. Besides, wouldn't the trouble I'd make by refusing them be a pain to deal with? That way I didn't seem like going treasure hunting with them was a bad idea. But that insane night was continuing. Haven't the sirens of instinct been wailing in my mind for a while now, warning me that Reina and Mion were strange? That I needed to be cautious? The warning sirens were so freaking loud, it felt like my head was split in two. Reina, I actually have something to do.
Something to do? Like what?
Like what? It's just I have something to do, okay?
If you had
Oh,
something to
here
do,
comes.
why didn't you say it when Mii-chan was here? I already told her to meet us at the dam site before we split up.
Reina was smiling, but her words made her discomfort clear. Sorry. I just kind of missed the opportunity to say so.
Really?
You're lying, aren't you? You just made that up now, you liar. That's what Reina's eyes said to me. My head hurts. I might have a cold. I wanted to get it checked out and get some medicine.
Really?
That wasn't really a lie. My head did hurt a little bit, so I wasn't lying. Reina, she couldn't figure out if my head hurt or not just by looking at it. Then, I guess that's that. Just staring me in the eyes for a moment, she fired a sharp needle-like stare at me. Tension in my body loosened and I felt like my knees might buckle.
If you're going to the clinic, then you should go soon. Sometimes they close early.
Thanks. I'll do that.
Make sure you go, okay? To the hospital.
I will.
Go, for real.
I will. Seemed like Reina had realized that I was going to refuse her invitation for a while now. With how serious she looked, she might actually call the clinic later to make sure I went. I couldn't say anything careless. Lying about getting checked out was just an excuse to decline her request in the first place. It didn't matter whether I actually went. Yeah, I'll go. If you want, I can bring you the bill tomorrow.
Oh, that would be good. Be sure to bring it, okay? Reina will look at it then.
Another tingle started crawling up my back. There was no ignoring it. Reina and Mion must have been monitoring my movements. That wasn't normal. Far from it. All of it was insane. I did what he did because I wanted my peaceful life back. But what on earth was all this? It was far from peaceful. Something had gone mad, leaving the world out of order. With the other Keiichi Marabara, those creepy footsteps I've been hearing, with Reina and Mion acting so curious, and above all, with him being alive. Where was I? Hanamizawa Village, Shishibane. I knew that much. Was this really the Hanamizawa I knew? Hey, Keiichi Marabara, where is this? I asked, whipping around before the front door to face the one who had been following me in my wake all day. Nobody would have been there, of course. Keiichi Marabara. Huh. That's what I just called him. Called the one who had been trailing me behind this whole time. That shadowy presence always clinging to me like it was constantly watching for the opportunity to change places. Footsteps always following me was another impossibility. Couldn't have been a ghost, so it was just impossible. So the strangeness must have been my ears, my head, or Hanamizawa. Everything I could see was the same exact Hanamizawa I knew so well, and that gave me the creeps. Eventually, I decided to actually go to the clinic. I really didn't want to go outside. But a stronger feeling than that desire was the fear Reina might actually be keeping an eye on me to see if I went to the hospital. But before I went to the clinic, there was something I wanted to make sure of. It was at school. I pretended I'd forgotten something. I was going back to the classroom to pick it up. As soon as the thought crossed my mind, I was overwhelmed by paranoia. I was just going to the classroom, but I hated it so much, having to be so careful to fake it. After carefully verifying once more that nobody was watching, I went over to the locker. Yes, Satoshi's locker. I committed the crime with the bat I found in the locker, Satoshi's bat. And then I had thrown the bat into the swamp, which meant the bat shouldn't have been inside. But, what if the bat was still in here? A very dreadful, incomprehensible idea, but if it was true, it would explain a lot. If the bat was in here, yesterday's events would have all been a delusion. No, an illusion. I hadn't killed anyone, and I'd gone to the festival. I had a great time rampaging about with everyone. It would prove that Keiichi Marabara was really me. Proof that I was only under some strange assumption that I had killed Satogo's uncle. Proof that it had all been a wild fantasy. That would explain everything. Nothing happened yesterday. I had just gone mad, unable to separate my shocking, uncle-killing dream from reality. That would explain everything. If the bat was here, would I be able to accept that reality? If it was here, nothing will have changed. If it was here, it would just mean I'd gone crazy. Preparing myself for the worst, I opened the locked door. I was actually scared of opening it slowly, so I threw it open with a bang. And just like the first time, the choking scent of smell and sweat, like a stale towel, came flowing out. It was a baseball uniform, some miscellaneous other things, like notebooks. There was also a shoe pouch. As for the bat, it wasn't here. It was how I left it when I took the bat out. There was no doubt, yesterday really happened.
Oh no.
Now that I knew I wasn't a lunatic, I felt relieved. But at the same time, if I wasn't the crazy one, then Hanamizawa was. And that was evidence of a reality I found just as difficult to accept. There was noise somehow creeping into everything I saw, and the world was losing a tiny bit of color. So what did I know about last night now? Now that I made sure the bat wasn't there, I didn't need to be here anymore. Shall I go? For real? To the hospital? It was my first time going to the hospital. From what I heard, it wasn't far from school. My mom had told me where it was. A big, easy-to-see road went straight there. I went past a shopping street, made a turn. It wasn't overly hard to spot the sign with the Irie Clinic written on it. There was one other person, an older man there, in the air-conditioned waiting room. I went up to the counter and told them it was my first time here. The man behind the counter glanced at the clock and said there would be a short wait. It was almost 5. Clinic hours would be ending soon. As I sat in this unfamiliar waiting room, isolated from everyone, I let myself feel the cool air. I actually felt relieved. What should I tell the doctor when he comes? I tell him that I had a cold, but I was the very picture of health. Actually, I wanted him to check my head. I wanted something to confirm. I want someone to confirm for me whether I was really insane or not. Keiichi Marabara-san? Please come into the examination room. Huh? The voice from the other side of the examination curtain. I thought I heard it somewhere before. Not Tomatake. It's probably Takano.
Takano. That's what.
Irie!
Irie!
Irie! Hello.
Silky smooth.
This is the first time we've seen each other here. Coach! Coach, you were a doctor? Now that you mention it, he did seem to know his way around when he was looking at my shoulder in the nurse's office. It would make sense if he was actually a doctor. Come to think of it, our teacher called him Irie-sensei, didn't she? Well, yes, I'm more or less a doctor here. Doctors have it really good, you know? You get to see and touch all that young, silky, smooth skin. I can inject them with a weird chemical that'd make them my slaves and have them be my personal maids. Thank you very much. Just seeing that made my cold go away. I'll be leaving now. Polite bow. Whoa, wait. Marabara-san. A joke. It was a joke. Come, sit down and let me take a look at you. need to use my stethoscope. So show me your silky smooth chest, Marabar-san. For some reason, I felt really relieved. After that insane night, as much as I thought everything had gone crazy, Coach was here doing the same thing that he always did. I was very happy for that. You don't seem to have a cold. Actually, those scrapes and cuts all over you seem to be the painful thing. Don't tell me you were playing in the bushes with short sleeves and shorts. I mean, I can't say for sure you haven't been infected with tetanus. I was chasing the man last night. I kept being scraped by bits of trees. I didn't realize I had so many cuts. I went a little too crazy at the festival yesterday. Enjoy that while you're young. And once again, I apparently went to the festival. Coach, did you go too? To the festival? Yes, of course I did. I may be a doctor, but I'm also on the Watsunagashi Executive Committee. Did you see me there? This coach was the same coach that I'd always known, and I felt like I could trust him with more than my weird friends, so I asked. Well, actually, I was drinking in the main tent with the chairman and the others the whole time. I didn't go out to see the festival at all. I don't think I saw you. Oh. That was a strange question. Do you have too much to drink and forget what happened about what happened last night? And underage too, you bad child. Coach let out a laugh. He didn't laugh in an unnatural way like Mio and Arena did, which was okay. He was the coach from the world I knew. It wasn't someone from this abnormal world. Well, this all might seem a little weird to you, but I want you to hear me out without laughing. Yes, go ahead. I greatly welcome any shy, bashful worries you might have as you come into your secondary sex characteristics. Could it be possible that I have an identical twin? Coach hadn't expected that question at all. He couldn't say anything for a moment. But then he smiled calmly and quietly answered. This is just superstition. But I've heard before that everyone that has two other people in the world who look just like them. If there was, I'd certainly like to meet him though. Also, there are plenty of fairy tales where a person's double appears. The German ones about doppelgangers are probably the most famous. Doppelgangers? Yes. They look exactly like another person. Apparently they herald misfortune. And if you meet one, you're sure to die soon. I think that's how it went. When you meet them, you're sure to die soon. The story ended directly in death, plain and simple, and it made my spine tingle. Coach wasn't saying it to scare me, though. He was just offering a casual anecdote, but that made it feel all the more real. Have you ever heard of one of those things showing up in an Amizawa? What? Well, I can't say that I have. Coach must have thought he was being teased, so he laughed in an exaggerated way. When did I smile along with him? His laughter steadily grew fainter. I'm sorry, well, I was sort of being serious. No, I apologize for laughing. Was there something you were worried about? I wonder if I should tell him, then, after resolving myself to one final time, I slowly spoke. I didn't go to the festival yesterday. Is that right? Well, there'll be one next year. And then you can. That's not what I meant. I didn't go to the festival, but according to everyone else, I was there. Could that even be possible? After blinking his eyes in amazement, Coach thought seriously about what I was trying to say. And he answered, choosing his words carefully. Let me make sure I have this straight. Marabar-kun, you went to the Watsunagashi festival, but don't remember it, am I right? I was trying to say something completely different, but I suppose any sane person would come to that conclusion. That night, Keiichi Marabar was actually at the festival, but I was saying I didn't go. That obviously meant my memories of going there had failed me. But that was absolutely impossible. The vivid act I'd committed during the downpour couldn't possibly be an illusion. All these scrapes on my body prove it, as does the fact that the bat wasn't in the locker. No, that's not it, Coach. I really didn't go to the festival. Please don't take offense, Marabar-san. Have you ever heard of an experience where you were suddenly somewhere unfamiliar and you couldn't remember why? No. I didn't lose my memories or anything. Because while the festival was going on, I was definitely doing something else. It wasn't like I was asleep and unconscious or anything. You're certain you were doing something else? I know I'm being awfully rude, but are you sure you're not mistaken? I know I'm not. My memories are clear as day, and they were real. During the festival, you weren't at the shrine, and you were doing something somewhere else. Can you definitely prove that? That's right. Thinking it through brought me to this. There was only one way to prove that I really wasn't at the festival yesterday, and that was to show that there was no doubt I had killed her uncle. Coach saw me struggling to answer, and his eyes looked a little cold. I guess they would. After all, from Coach's perspective, I was just a weirdo sputtering nonsense. Would you like to lay down? Maybe you should relax and take it easy for a bit. I'm sorry, I didn't really come here to lay down. You seem to be a little worked up. Why don't I give you a sedative that'll let you sleep for a bit? That way. I'm not being strange! Coach seemed to realize that he was treating me like a deviant, and he raised his voice. I apologize if I've offended you, so please, calm down. I definitely didn't go to the festival. That's the truth. I understand. I understand, so please calm down. Take a deep breath. No, you don't understand at all! Coach was stunned and stared in stupefaction. Stupefaction. I do understand, Marabara-san. You didn't go to the festival yesterday. Is that right? I believe you. I believe you. Coach jotted down a brief note in his records. He was writing it in German, so that his patient would know what it said. But I could make a good guess as to what he wrote. You won't believe me until I tell you everything I was doing at the time, will you? No, I believe you. Please sit down. Before I sat, I tilted my head back a little. The blood in my face all drained out, and I quieted down. After taking a deep breath, I made sure that I was calm now. It would have been impossible for me to be at the festival, because at the time, I was... Should I tell him or not? I really didn't want to go on living like this, feeling this horrible. I said them, the final fatal words, because I was killing Satoko's uncle at the time. I could smell the concrete in the room. I could feel the airs around us sharpen. Nobody moved. Only the sound of the clock ticking told us time hadn't stopped. With his mouth wide open, Coach even forgot to blink for a little while. You killed Satoko-chan's uncle. Yeah. It's fine now, Keiichi Maruara. Don't hesitate. Admit it with all your strength. Yes. Last night, I did it. I killed him. I spoke clearly and fluidly. I could easily tell that Coach's mind had gone completely blank. Why would you? No. That was a foolish question. I believed it was the most direct method of saving Satoko, so I carried it out. I don't have any regrets. I see. Coach smiled thinly and nodded a bit. So I couldn't have been at the festival. I left the brightness of my house for the darkness of the outside. After that, I dug holes, made phone calls. I had my hands full. And then I attacked him, killed him, and buried him. It was pouring hard at the time. The festival started that evening but was suspended due to the rain. There were no gaps in my memories. From the late afternoon until it started to rain, there was no time for me to possibly have gone to the festival. And those wounds, are they from that? Yes. There's a road through the forest near Satoko's house. I attacked him there. He ran, but I chased him and finally killed him near the road that leads to Dong. Is that true? Killing her uncle wasn't some wild fantasy. I could tell that Coach didn't believe me, so I spoke slowly, not letting myself get excited. It's true. I killed him with Satoshi's bat. I threw it and the uncle's motorbike into the swamp. I dug a hole, killed him, and buried him. I did it all by myself. Satoko-chan's uncle drove past you on a motorbike, did he? Then you predicted he'd do that and just waited? I assumed he wouldn't be leaving his house that day, so I lied to him over the phone to get him out. You called him. But your house is so far away from Satoko-chan's. I wouldn't think you'd be able to make it there so soon after calling him. I used the phone closer to where I was going to attack him, the one at the school. But Marabara-san, it was Sunday. Wouldn't the school been locked up? A forest ranger happened to go inside for a bit. I slipped in when I had the chance. After that, Coach grilled me on a few different things regarding the incident. He made sure to question me carefully, looking for any contradictions in my account. I'll believe you. What you did yesterday doesn't seem like a dream. I explained everything, including minor details that only someone who had actually committed the act could explain. I could, of course. It was only yesterday. Coach realized that my story had no expedient coincidences or too convenient details that would have existed in a daydream or a delusion, and finally seemed to want to believe me. So, do you still think I went to the festival and lost my memory? Coach slowly shook his head. But everyone in class, they said I was at the festival yesterday. Is that even possible? No, it's not. Your classmates probably mistook you for someone who looked very similar. Then given how group psychology works, everyone just assumed that you had been at a festival. They couldn't have mistaken me. Man and all the rest said they were spending time with Keiichi Marabara. It was much more than just having mistaken someone else for me. But saying that out loud would just confuse Coach. He spoke to me in whispered tones. Do you feel guilty at all? It didn't sound like he was criticizing me. And even if he had, I would have flatly said the same thing. I don't. I did it so that I could return to the peaceful days that he'd stolen from us. So I plan to forget all about having killed him and live my life as usual. Once Satogo's regular smile returns, the one from before he showed up, everything will finally be over. Any chance that someone witnessed the crime? I don't think so. If someone had seen me, I would have been arrested already. I am a doctor. My job is to save lives. So I cannot make any statements to the effect of condoning the taking of another's life. So instead I will say this. Coach slowly rose and placed a hand on my shoulder. For saving Satoko-chan, I thank you. Coach's eyes started shedding warm tears. When I looked at him, I started to feel some tears of my own. I didn't know what I was crying for. So for a little while, the two men in the room fought back their tears. But it's strange. What is? I'm sure I killed him, and yet he seems to have returned home alive. Coach's expression immediately sharpened. Depending on the situation, there are many ways that mere unconsciousness can look like real death to a lay person. Do you think it's possible he was just knocked out? I didn't check for a pulse, but I'm pretty sure I did him in. Can I ask you to reproduce the situation in which you attacked him, Marabara-san? Coach rolled up a Health and Fitness Week poster nearby and offered it to me to represent the bat. Though I may have been lost to the emotions of a beast that night, I remember in detail the number of times I swung the bat, the angles I had swung from, and the force I had applied. Using Coach as a stand-in for the uncle, I reproduced them over one by one. And when he tripped and fell, I bashed him in the top of the head like this. When I did, it felt different from the other strikes. Thought I cracked his skull. I was just calmly analyzing this information, using the places I had struck and the situation at hand to find out what state the uncle's body had been in. Wasn't totally sure he was dead, so I hit him a few more times after he fell. Did he react at all? At first I sort of felt his body jolting with every hit, but eventually that stopped too. He didn't react at all. Huh. Coach folded his arms and said, a few times. Then he spoke. He's dead. There's not much doubt about it. He didn't just look like he was. I can't say very much from just your story, Marabara-san, but I think it's almost certain. Besides, you buried the corpse in the mud. And that you took quite a bit of time, right? Let's say it took you 30 minutes. That would mean he was buried under the muddy water for those 30 minutes. If you don't breathe for that long, your brain will die no matter what. I mean, even ignoring how hard I hit him, he would definitely have died while I was burying him? That's right. It's impossible to stay alive buried underground for 30 minutes. impossible. You're right. But Satoko, she says she's alive. Coach, the doctor, just gave his stamp of approval that he was dead for sure. That made it seem all the more unfair that he could still be among the living. Marabara-san, this is a really horrible idea, but is it possible that the person you killed wasn't actually her uncle? God, if it was Tomitake, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck? But it couldn't be.
Because his bike was...
Takano had his bike.
Yeah.
He had a bike, not a motorcycle.
Yeah.
So who had a motorcycle?
Just some random dude?
He's right. That could be why it cleared the inconsistency of my definitely having killed someone, but him still being alive. There's no way. I mean, we were both at Satoko's house when she was bringing his alcohol inside, and there was a man who stuck his face out the window to look. It was him, right? That was Satoko's uncle, right? Yes, you're not wrong. It was that man. Could she have had more than one uncle or something? Not that I've ever heard of. It's just him. Could you tell me what he looked like? Well, his height first. He was about 175 centimeters, maybe a little taller. In order to eliminate the worst possibility that I'd killed someone else, Coach began to thoroughly compare what the man in his mind looked like with what I told him the person I killed looked like. But no matter how in-depth my description went, none of the characteristics differed. The uncle's traits, according to Coach, were all the exact same as the person I'd killed. But those traits were all extremely vague, and they weren't particularly distinct at a glance. Could you, is there anything else about him that would let us identify him for sure? Now that you mentioned it, I've never seen it, but I believe Satoko-chan once said a long time ago that he had a tattoo of a tiger or something on his back. A tattoo. It was really important. Not everyone had a tattoo. If I found a tiger tattoo on the back of the man's corpse, it'd be proof that I'd killed the right one. At the moment, though, there was one other thing that would verify this. To go to Satoko's house and see for myself the uncle had returned home despite having died. That was far more terrifying than digging up the body and looking at its back. Not even looking at the tattoo, I know for sure that I'd killed the one I'd killed. The one I'd killed had been Satoko's uncle. I cracked his head open and killed him. And yet, he'd gone back home. There wasn't any misunderstanding or even the shadow of a doubt in my mind about having killed him. And yet, it was impossible for him to exist. Kind of like how Keiji Marabara had been in the festival despite it being impossible. That small commonality made me feel as though a faint but bizarre force was permeating this insane Inamizawa. I wonder, what on earth could have happened? Despite you not going to the festival and killing Satoko-chan's uncle, you were at the festival and the uncle you killed is alive. None of this makes any sense. When I look at everything that way, it's almost like I'm just having a nightmare and there's no killer at all. But it's the truth. The sensation I used my own hands and the bat to bash him again and again, it was no illusion or dream. Coach let out a slow sigh. Then after looking at the clock, got up. Let's go over this all a little more seriously. If you'll excuse me, I'll go put on some tea. Clinic's about to close after all. I need to let the other employees leave. Coach stood up and went out into the hallway, leaving me alone. The clock was about to strike 6. I was at the festival and the uncle I killed was alive. Had I really committed murder yesterday? The only whisper of a fact that proved it happened was the absence of the bat from Satoshi's locker. In any case, I was glad that Coach had taken my nonsense seriously. I just confessed to murder. Normally that would frighten a person away. But Coach didn't run. He cried with me. I was glad he did. Like so, my tension smoothly melted away and suddenly realized I really had to urinate. I thought to use the restroom while Coach had stepped out. There was one across from the waiting room. As soon as I left the room, I saw Coach and 2 male doctors wearing white clothing standing in the shadows of the hallway nearby. I didn't particularly intend to eavesdrop or anything, but I was quite surprised upon noticing how uneasy they seemed. I hid behind the wall, and quietly listened in. It seemed like Coach was giving directions to the 2 doctors. Black tea? I'll make some. Mix in Emma Barbital and Ravenol. Cover the taste with milk and sugar. He may grow suspicious at the sudden onset of drowsiness. It's possible he may get agitated and become violent. We'll handle that. How many male staff are still here? 1 mountain dog, including us 3. What was all this? I think I was already agitated despite what Coach said. Was that it? Was it just a casual conversation and it was only sounding unbelievable to me? Coach said he would bring some black tea and left the room. And then in the shadows he was telling me supported some kind of sleeping powder in the tea. They were getting extra help in case I thought the sudden sleepiness was suspicious and started getting violent. Hey, wait, Keiji Marubara. Calm down, calm down. There's no way something this stupid could be happening. And he was genuinely listening to my story and he even cried with me. I thought he was the one person in Namizawa who would understand. This was... There are signs of fabrications or falsehoods, and his memories of yesterday in particular are completely confused. He can no longer tell truth from falsehood. It's quite similar to multiple personality disorder. But as for how quickly this mental disorder emerged, it's just not normal. Maybe it's inborn, or perhaps there were signs of it before he moved here. I'd like to take a look at any records of him staying at a mental hospital before he moved here. In any case, I want him to take a quiet nap. The 2 doctors nodded deeply. I should probably contact Marubara-kun's parents, too. Though I can't think of what to tell them. Please find his home phone number for me. My eyes, still moist, began to shed tears once more. This was too cruel. I really thought he had actually understood and had believed what I told him. But now, from the other side of that wall, he was bluntly treating me like a crazy person. I believed you! I believed you! I had let down my guard because I thought you were the only ally I had left after that insane night. Was that a lie? All that about thanking me on Satoga's behalf, were you just pretending in order to keep me placated? Ah! My tears fell to the floor in frustration. I was an idiot! I was an idiot! I was such an idiot for believing that bastard. I heard footsteps approaching the doctors. A man in a dress shirt with no tie came running up. Dr. Irie, it's terrible! They found Takano-san! Takano-san? Wait, where? Well, apparently they discovered her burned corpse in the mountains in Gifu. She's dead? Takano-san? The men, all surprised, exchanged glances. Dead? Takano-san? Hey, wait, so then... Does that mean when I cursed her, wishing for her death, that wish was granted? What do you mean, burned corpse? Was it an accident? According to the Gifu police statement, the possibility is extremely high that she was murdered. As I cried, I laughed quietly. Serves you right. Serves you right? If I hadn't run into that woman, my murder would have been perfect. She just had to come driving up to me, tried to coerce me like that. I regretted not having killed her on the spot, but now she was dead anyway. My curse, my wish for her demise, it was fulfilled. Serves you right. Serves you right. Risa-san died. Takano-san died. What on earth could be happening in Namizawa? Tell me that this was all Yoshido-sama's curse for this year. Like hell I'll let the curse be real, Coach said. Everyone present just nodded as Coach cursed at no one in particular. Yes, maybe it wasn't Yoshido-sama. But this was definitely a spell, a curse. I wished for her to die, so she did. This wasn't just a coincidence that she died because I wished for it. You'll die next, Coach! You betrayed me. You pretended to believe me, but deep down you thought I was a madman! You looked down at me with all that pity in your eyes. For now, get the black tea ready. I'll bring it inside. I don't think he'd let anyone beside me alone with him. Shit. What do I do, Keiji Marubara? This time I heard the voice of a nurse. Dr. Irie? Oh, there you are. You have a phone call. I'm a little busy at the moment, so please tell them I'll call back. Who's it from? I'm Mr. Oishi from Okinomiya Police Department. Ah, sheesh. What bad timing. Alright, I'll answer it. Coach left to go answer the phone. The other men headed towards the room with the teapot to make black tea like Coach had ordered them to. Fortunately, Coach having to take that phone call meant there would be extra time for me to act. I had to decide what to do now. Would I let him make me drink the sedative-infused tea, or be held down and thrown into a mental hospital? Nothing would come from starting a brawl here. They had more people anyway, and they were all bigger than me. If it came to a fight, I didn't stand a chance in hell. If I couldn't win against them, there was only one thing left to do. Run. Adrenaline suddenly rushed into my brain, and my body started to move with keen instinct like it had on that night. My surface temperature quickly cooled, and the transmission routes between my cells enlarged. Using 360-degree visual information, I searched for an escape route. I would open the window behind me. Outside was a parking lot. There were no cars. A little beyond there was the high school I had taken to get here. I determined that this would be the quickest method of escape. I approached the window swiftly, but with little sound to raise as little suspicion as I could. With the speed and silence of a shadow, like I had on that night, I chased her uncle. I unlocked the window and opened it up. A cool evening breeze wafted in. I stuck my head out and looked over the parking lot again. Nobody in sight. No need to hesitate. I quietly crawled outside and closed the window behind me. I held my breath and listened carefully. Nobody seemed to have realized I'd run. I looked around. Then I jumped onto my bicycle and zoomed away. The pedals clattered under the force. Did my bike always creak like this? Did the pedals always whine every time I pushed down them? My bike wasn't the only one crying, though. My tears fell as the wind cut through them. They rode the breeze and scattered behind me. Ugh! I hate this, I hate this. I'm not the crazy one. Hanamizawa is. How dare you treat me like a madman? Die! Die! Just fucking die already. I believed you, I believed you. Ugh! I got into the hospital in order to escape Reina and Mion's invitation. The reality that was waiting for me had been too cruel. Who's insane, me or Hanamizawa? Or was the answer something else? I started having trouble breathing. I didn't have any clue what was happening anymore. The loud chirps of Higurashi were irritating me. Were even the Hanamizawa Higurashi I knew so well calling into the wind? Well, that wasn't quite it. They weren't calling. They were crying. The pained wailing of those lost in some kind of rhythm in another world, no longer able to return to their own sunlight. I didn't do all that to end up in a world like that. And actually, about this time, it might have been fun with everyone else. Satoko would have gotten her smile back after realizing her uncle wouldn't ever come back, and she might have shown it to us at our first club meeting in a while. That was the kind of world I wished for. So what was this? Why did I end up in such a strange, ghastly world? Someone I'd killed was living like normal, and I had enjoyed myself at the festival despite not being there. I don't want it. I don't want this strange world. When did it start to go wrong? When? When? No matter how much I thought about it, I never understood. I rode swiftly and returned to my home. It had begun to rain during my journey back, and just like yesterday, I was now soaked. I didn't care about something so trivial right now. And I felt in my heart that Coach, the one person I trusted, was acting so cruelly. It's far worse. Did I have no allies in Hanamizawa anymore? The naive thought that at least wanted my parents to side with me. I stepped up the front door. Hey, Keiichi. It'll be dark soon. There's something you want to check, right? Yes. I wanted to dig up the man's corpse and get a look at his back. If there was a tiger tattoo there, I would know beyond a doubt that he was Satoko's uncle. That long night wouldn't end until I was certain. This insane world was all reparation, all a divine punishment. Then I needed to make certain whether I had been successful enough to even deserve to pay that price. I went to the storage room again and got the shovel. It had been washed in the rain, but the paint was peeling, making it look unsightly. I never ever wanted to touch this thing again. The sensation of it in my hands was totally different from the night before. There was a ruthless coldness about it. Yeah. It would be dark soon, so I needed a lantern, too. There would be a little bit of light from the street lights, but it would get extremely dark. Huh. I thought I put the lantern here. Suddenly noticed it wasn't anywhere to be found. Then it hit me like a bolt of lightning. Of course. In the night, I hadn't brought the lantern back with me. I left it at the place I buried the body. If I didn't go to get it soon, it would get very dark. And not only would I not be unable to find the spot I buried the corpse, but I wouldn't even be able to find the lantern itself. If that happened, it was all over. I need to hurry. In order to fit the shovel in the basket on the front of my bike, I need to twist it and disassemble it. It looked like there was dirt in the joints, and no matter how I pushed it, it didn't want to come apart. After a strenuous effort, I realized I couldn't get it apart, so I decided to hold it in one hand and ride my bike with the other. With the downpour soaking me through and the shovel in one hand, and riding one-handed, it was as if I returned to that night. No, return was the wrong word. It's more like that night never ended. The pain of the raindrops striking me were no different from then. The thing that was different was the Namizawa, the world and nothing else. The rain clouds were already making it dark, and now was about time for the sun to set. I could tell it was only getting rapidly darker. A straight road leading to town. In the middle of it. That should be where I buried it. Yes. It was near the streetlight. On that night, too, the water from the downpour was splashing down from the streetlights overhanging like a waterfall. Pouring rain was exactly the same as it had been that night, and thus it brought my memories into focus. I left my bike in the brush and stepped into the forest. The ground had already soaked in mud. Where had I buried him? Think. The darkness. The shadows. The water. The mud. Everything was the same. Think. And then I spotted the lantern by a fallen moss-covered tree. That's right, I left it right there. If I left the lantern here, then I would have buried him over here. The sensation of standing in the sludge, my feet remembered the spot better than my eyes did. I plunged my shovel to the ground. It's hard. It wasn't here. I just dug it up, so it should have been softer. I sink my shovel down in a few spots to test what they feel like. One of them clearly felt deeper. I recalled where the lantern was, with the trees and things were in relation to each other, and knew that it had to be here. Under here slept that man's corpse. It would definitely be the tattoo of a tiger on his back. But if it wasn't there, then I had made a horrible mistake and killed someone completely unrelated instead. I'd be more dazed at the fact that Sato's uncle wasn't dead than I would regretting having gotten someone else mixed up in this. This insane world was punishment for the sin of committing murder. I wouldn't be able to accept it until I killed Sato's uncle for good. And then without any fear, I'd attack him again. And that time I would kill him for sure. What if the tattoo was there? That would mean I killed Sato's uncle. But that would be terribly strange. If I'd killed him for sure, then who was the uncle at Sato's house at this very moment? Impossible. I didn't even know anymore what I was using the word impossible to refer to. I've used the word quite a few times today. If I had to make the word impossible fit just one thing, what would it be? That much was obvious to me. It would be impossible for this crazy world to be real. I shouted, then turned behind me. There was nobody there, of course. It hadn't been bothering me for a while, but those footsteps had followed me this entire day. Even just now, an extra set of footsteps had splashed behind me. No one was actually there, no indications of anyone even. But they were there. Who are you? You've been following me ever since I came to this world. That's right. Thinking back, the first time I heard those footsteps was after Takano-san and I had parted. Those footsteps were my welcome into the strange inside-out world. No one could be there. Get no response. Whoever it was, they just kept staring at me. It wasn't ominous, just unpleasant. After staring at the empty space for a bit, as I bathed in the rain, my illogical anger slipped away. My tension loosened, and my tired feeling reared its head. I tasted this feeling that night too. It felt an exhaustion as I felt the tension in my brain loosen. My vision quickly narrowed, and I felt like everything around me had suddenly gotten darker. I couldn't give in to the sensation. I would light what little explosives were left in my brain and force myself to keep going. I needed to dig that man up before my stamina ran out. I needed to see the tattoo on his back. I caught my suddenly ragged breath and calmed down. And then I stuck the shovel into the soft, muddy ground again. It felt exactly the same as that night. The sensation of digging a hole in the beach with water coming into it with every wave. What day was it? I had gone back to the night of the Tatarigoroshi. Every strange thought that came to my mind tormented me. Given my exhaustion, I didn't think I could manage to hold those thoughts back. Once the hole was deep and illumination finally faded, blanketing my vision in jet black. It was probably the moment the sun had fully set, too. The night, I had feared the worst and gone without using much light. My senses were so strained that I could even see in that darkness. Now I didn't have that kind of strength left. I drained everything I had last night, and now the darkness would be lethal. I decided to turn on the lantern. Putting it in the first setting would make it give off a faint light. Even with how little there was, it was enough. And people wouldn't be able to see it from far away in this rain. I grabbed the chilled lantern, turned the dial with a click, set it to the weakest light setting and turned it on. An uncanny world of silhouettes appeared before me. A complex and strange shadowy world created by the intricate entanglement of trees and branches. I'd only turned on a light and it was like that was all it took to make the world into something else. I let out a quick tired breath and wiped the liquid, neither rain nor sweat, from my brow. And I raised the shovel into the air and slammed it into the mud. That moment. The silhouettes surrounding me ominously all moved at once. Inside my head, something packed in there. Something coarse, but not hot or cold, was loudly rushing about. The silhouettes were all around me, looking down at me. And one of them, a silhouette bigger than the others, stepped forward. Good evening. Moon sure is beautiful tonight. The coarseness in my brain shot through my whole spine and left me at my waist. The strength of my body all left me through my hips, and I crouched down with a splash into a sea of mud. I dug myself. Oishi. Is that really how you address your elders? You'll have a rough time of it once you become an adult. Wasn't only Oishi, but 5 or 6 of them in a row, men wearing raincoats. I had no inkling that this many people had gotten so close. It was like, once I turned on the lantern, they just appeared sliding out of the shadows. Please don't mind us. Just think of us as trees in the forest, perhaps. Don't mind me. Yes. Pay no attention to us. Please, continue digging your hole. It's very late. It's raining very hard. And you're working pretty fervently. We won't get in your way. Please, dig to your heart's content. No, thank you, I said. When I tried to get up and turn around, 2 men blocked that route. They stood on either side of me and lifted me up with amazing strength and threw me into the sea of mud. As I soaked in the mud bath I dug for myself, I looked up the silhouettes looking down at me. Oishi squatted, picked up my shovel, and threw it at my feet for me. Bounced loudly off the mud and hit me in the face. Come. Please continue. Continue. Couldn't bear the oppressiveness of the silhouette surrounding me, so slowly I stuck the shovel into the mud again. I felt like I was digging my own grave. I kept digging. It wouldn't matter whether it was a tattoo or not, because that man's corpse would appear eventually. It was all over. Surrounded on all sides and nowhere to go. I just couldn't figure it out no matter how much I thought about it. Why were they here? Was it Takano-san? There was only one person who could have made the connection between me and this place. I knew it. She deserved to die. Stopping so soon. Bam. Oishi kicked me in the back, which took me by surprise, sending me flying into the mud. Hurry up and dig, please. You really should consider the fact that some of us are standing out here in the rain. Fuck you. If you don't like the rain, then just go home. Oishi kicked some mud into my face. Work, please, instead of talking. Only people from the red light district do both at once. Isn't that right, boys? The men around him didn't react. Not knowing quite whether they should laugh, but when Oishi glared at them, they started mumbling out pained chuckles. Who was this guy? I knew the world had changed after that night. If I went even further back, didn't it start when this guy showed up? That's when our peaceful days had been taken from us. Ever since he showed up in Anamizawa, things have been odd. Everyone stopped smiling and the world went crazy. The ground under my feet gradually got harder and heavier. At this point, even I started to think something was odd. I hadn't buried him this deep on that night, had I? My exhaustion peaked, and I sat down on the spot. How long do you want me to dig? Kids these days have no stamina. Hey, you! I always just gestured the men all pulled out their sinister-looking shovels. As I watched the daze, one of them grabbed my collar, dragged me out of the hole, and threw me to the ground. The rest of the men stepped into the hole I dug and started shoveling themselves. As I stared at him, dumbfounded, Oishi sauntered over and squatted down to look at me directly. Keiichi Marubara-san. Is this a hobby of yours? Digging holes on rainy nights? When I didn't respond, Oishi took one of the tin buckets that they were using to bail out the muddy water, scooped some of it, and splashed the whole thing in my face. The rain's heavy today, too. No matter how wet I get, I still don't understand the appeal. Oishi smiled to himself and scooped up another bucket full of muddy water. I'll ask you again. Is digging holes on rainy nights your hobby? Who the hell would have a hobby like that? Splash! Oishi hit me with another bucket full of muddy water. The pebbles in it stung. Will there be something in that hole? I've always liked that story, you know, about the old man who could make plants bloom, and the puppy digging in his yard for gold. As he spoke, he ran the bucket through the muddy water again, and splashed it in my face again. What kind of treasure is buried in there? Huh. Could you at least give me a hint? You want to know? Dig on your own time. Fucking pig. Wasn't saying that aloud, but Oishi mercilessly drenched me in muddy water again anyway. Shit. If only you hadn't shown up, the world wouldn't have gone wrong. Ever since you showed up, things have been strange. Satoko got abused by her uncle, I ended up killing him, and the world went crazy. He was how it all began. Because of this culprit. He splashed another bucket of mud in my face. My insides were seething with anger. Die, you. You die too. If I have some strange power to kill someone by cursing them, like Takano-san, then you're dead. It won't be Oishiro-sama's curse, it'll be mine. I'll curse you and kill you. What a rebellious look you're wearing. Why don't we use this opportunity to teach you a thing or two in that regard? We really do live in peace these days. When I was about your age, corporal punishment was the norm for everything. Oishi-san. One of these digging men in raincoats wiped some sweat off and called Oishi's over. Oishi tossed the bucket away, then turned around with an evil grin on his face. Yes, what is it? Please look at this. Acceptance. Or maybe resignation. I wanted to say to them, so you blockheads finally found it. Yeah, that's right. I'm the one who killed him. But you're the police, so it's your own job to figure out who he was, right? Come on, prove to me that he's really Satoko's uncle. What on earth? We think it's an old drain pipe. Seems to be connected to the irrigation channel over there. Let's smash the thing. It's not being used, right? The men all exchanged glances, then hesitantly broached another topic. Oishi-san, the ground down there is pretty hard. I don't think anything can be deeper than this. Did we get the location wrong? No, at first it definitely felt like the place had been dug up before. But after digging so far, the ground suddenly hardened. We think we've gone down further than the hole was originally dug. So what does that mean? There was a hole here and someone filled it back up? Is that what you're trying to tell me? What? What were they talking about? Well, I'm at a loss. Aren't you, Marubara-san? Oishi grabbed my collar and dragged me to the hole they dug. The mud inside was like an ocean, and I couldn't see any drain pipe down there. One of the men stirred it with a shovel, letting me hear it clang with something hard. There was no doubt I buried him right here. But I hadn't buried him this deep. I didn't dig deep enough to unearth an entire drain pipe. So, then... this man, his corpse, where was it? Proof that I've been successful in that night. It's gone. Gone. Then, what on earth was I? Was I actually crazy after all? Just possessed by the delusion that I killed someone? I couldn't be. It was the unmistakable truth. It couldn't have been an hallucination. But now the most important evidence that it hadn't been an illusion was gone. I killed him. I buried him. I had absolute unwavering confidence in that fact. Then did I fail to kill him? After I left here, had he started breathing again, crawled down, and gone back to Satsuko's house? Was that it? I'd come here to see whether he had a tattoo or not, and yet the truth I unearthed was far worse than that. Yesterday, what was I? I killed him. I buried him. There was no doubt. But for some reason he lived and called back out. And that was impossible too. I'm so tired of hearing the word impossible over and over. I get it. Dead people don't like to play by the rules here in Anamizawa. Then I'll kill you as many times as I need to. I'll keep killing you until you never show your face to Satsuko again. Oishi and others were muttering to each other. Eventually their conversation ended and Oishi came towards me. What did he want to say? What did he want to do? I stiffened, tensing up, then Oishi just ignoring me like I wasn't even there, and passed right by me. The other men too, they ignored me and shuffled away. Eventually there was no longer a sign that anyone was around, and I returned to my quiet world of silhouettes. The only one left there was me. Only the sound of the pouring rain filled up the silence.
No! Oh my god.
Is that the end of the chapter? Is there another one? There's another one! Damn it! I thought that was going to be the end. I thought we were going to get our resolution for that chapter. God. Name of the achievement.
But yeah, 2 hours.
Damn. Alright, inquiry request, record of malice. Sounds malicious. Okinomiya Police Station Command Center transmission recording. June 20, 8:08 p.m. This is the Okinomiya Security Police. We read you loud and clear. Hello, we'd like you to look up a license plate number for us.
Thanks.
Alright. Please give us just a moment to look it up. Thank you. Number match. So many numbers. Owner.
Thanks.
Address. Namizawa Village, Shishibane. Vehicle make and model. Theft reports. None. Special mentions. Nothing of note. Okinomiya Security Police to Oishi. We found the license plate from earlier. Oishi, do you read? Oishi, please respond. Huh? Am I getting a bad signal? Anyone in Oishi's car, please Nothing, eh? Oishi-san wanted a license plate check. Whose car was it? Someone from the village. Completely average car. Who was it? If Oishi-san was asking, then it can't be anyone good, right? The special mentions column is completely blank. No indication it's related to the S group either. And no demerits on it. Maybe it passed him on the road and he got mad. That guy isn't the type to forget a grudge.
Huh?
Okay. So, they found a car that Oishi was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Or Oishi's like, check this car and match it with whatever is in the system. My first thought is Takano's car.
Mm-hmm.
But then my question is, how does that relate to anything? Because we know that Takano is dead. She got burned alive the same way that she did in the Watsunagashi chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, how does that relate? Like, where does that call come back to? Maybe I'm forgetting a detail. I'm probably just forgetting a detail, but there's something that's amiss.
So, something that I think Takano did is she went back and moved the the body he buried.
It is possible she went and removed the body.
Just to prove that that never happened. And then she ended up dying anyways.
Yeah, the whole series of events of Takano's death is very suspicious, to say the least. Although my humorous theory that she died in one of Satoko's traps is hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, it's murder. Wait, never mind.
Mid. Record of Malice. Let's see what this has to offer.
Alright.
He said it smelled. He said the food smelled. He said it smelled because I smelled. I smell a smelly smell. A smell that smells smelly. He said I smelled because I don't take baths. He said I'd take a bath 3 times a day because I was a smelly person. He said I had to stay in the bath for a long time every day. He must be possessed by something too. This is the same thing the man who died said. Why does he know what that man said before? That much is obvious. Same thing that possessed that man is now possessing him. Can't a sudden earthquake make a big hole in front of the house? If it did, he would definitely go and look into it. Then I just have to push him in. I won't give in until I get that chance. I won't give in and I won't cry. I won't give in, I won't cry. Someone is apologizing again.
What?
Oh, and I gotta read that again.
What?
He said it smelled. Food smelled. He said it smelled because I smelled. He said I smelled because I don't take baths. He said to take baths 3 times a day because I was a smelly person. He said I'd stay in the bath for a long time every time. He must be possessed by something too. This is the same thing the man who died said. Why does he know what that man said before? That much is obvious. The same thing that possessed that man is now possessing him. Can't a sudden earthquake make a big hole in front of the house? If it did, he would definitely go and look into it. And then I just have to push him in. I won't give in until I get that chance. I won't give in, I won't cry. I won't give in, I won't cry. Someone is apologizing to me. That line makes me think this is Cage.
Okay.
Because if you remember, the very beginning of the first chapter, Onikakushi, he mentioned someone was apologizing again. But someone kept apologizing.
Okay.
So, this could go all the way back and almost explain almost a mental condition Keiji. But then again, if this is Keiji, who is he directing this malice towards?
Okay.
Or is this malice being reproduced? I have no idea. This note puts me at a loss. But the only logical explanation, the only logical conclusion I can come from this is that this is Keiji. Mm-hmm. Or at the or even as a further stretch, this is Satoshi. Mm-hmm. Keiji or Satoshi? I won't give in, I won't cry. He said it smelled.
He said I smelled.
He said it smelled because I smelled. He said it smelled because I don't take baths.
He said I take baths. He said that I take 3 baths.
It's so confusing.
It sounds like a riddle.
It very much sounds like a riddle.
Like, you just have to, like, buckle down and figure it out.
I feel like it's obvious, like, with hindsight, like, having been to the end of the story and, like, coming back, it's like, oh, it's obvious. But, like, right now, it's like,
what?
I have a lot of questions. It's super fascinating to me.
Okay. But whenever he says, it said in there, how could he know what happened to the man that died? It's obvious. He is possessed by the same thing that the man who died was possessed by. That's probably not. It's probably awful. What I just said.
Here we go.
That's obvious.
He must be possessed by something too. This is the same thing that man who died said. Why does he know what that man said before? That much is obvious. The same thing that possessed that man is now possessing him. Alright. Are we able to unpack this? Let's start with, he must be possessed by something too. This is the same thing the man who died said.
Who's the man that died? Is it Koichi or is it Satoshi? Because if one of them is writing this,
Or at least thinking this.
or thinking this, and he has been noticing something following.
There definitely seems to be an air of repetition.
Yeah.
These events are repeating, and they are starting to cross paths. There is definitely an air of the curse. Is there a bug on my computer?
No.
What's that? Anyway, ADD aside. So this episode, huge push towards the curse theory. That or Keiichi has some serious mental disorder. But I don't think that's it. I think something is really fucking with him right now.
Yeah.
There is a curse going on right now. Now, it could also be
That everyone.
the town is against him. Again. Very much so. The way that Reina and Mion reacted to this almost seems like they were going to be punishing him. Very much so that in the Onikakushi arc. That he knew too much, he had to be silenced.
And the thing with Coach is he is not in Hanamizawa. He is in the other village.
And I thought it was... it's still Hanamizawa.
I thought it was Okinomiya.
No, I think... Pretty sure it's still Hanamizawa. But okay, let's take that factor of where it is out of the equation. Let's just talk about Irie himself. His reaction, I feel, is very normal. Someone's
For a
crazy,
doctor.
spouting nonsense about killing someone, doesn't add up. Let's put him down.
That's...
And then Keiichi's reaction is very abnormal, to say the least. He seems very desperate, he seems very frantic, and who wouldn't in the situation they were in. And then the fact that Oishi and a group of people followed him there, meaning someone gave away that location, whether it was Takano or Irie, but I don't know how Irie would know the location.
Because he told him. He said it was on the main road.
That's true. And they could have found the bike.
And they could have saw the light whenever he
Also,
turned it on.
Oishi could have been following him from the beginning.
He could have been.
Keeping a safe distance. Probably purposely calling Irie to get Irie away from him long enough so Keiichi could leave on his own to go check the body. That way they could follow him to the body.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that because that's who he was talking to.
So,
It was too perfect. There were no cars in the parking lot.
Oishi set everything up just to find the body, and stunned, there was no body. Meaning, he had nothing to do with the body disappearing. Which kind of puts up a counter argument against him being a servant of Oishiro-sama.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he is unknowing of Oishiro-sama's actions.
Man,
This chapter is a crazy one.
is fucking with my head.
But again, someone is apologizing again. It's a reference back to the very first chapter of Keiichi being on the train to Hanamizawa. It's so baffling to me. But I do believe the next one will be the finale for Tatarigoroshi.
And then we have the
After party. That it's like, is it the curse? Is it people?
I don't know. How about you?
I'm fully committed to the curse theory. Because it's fucking curse.
Weren't you committed to the people theory?
That's
like
you.
Earlier?
That was you. You were fully committed to the person theory. I was committed to the curse theory.
I'm really leaning towards curse now too, or just something weird with Hanamizawa. Like something is
like,
off.
Let's say Takano did move the body to put Keiichi in a position that he would consider himself crazy. What does she stand to gain from that? Because she still died!
Okay, but listen. If you're saying that Takano's death was an accident, she did not plan on dying. So she wanted Keiichi to think he was crazy, so he did not think that night happened, so she was not involved.
It could be, yeah. She could be covering her tracks, but she would have just killed him. She could have just killed him.
She had another body.
You only fit one body in the trunk. But that
And
raises
his
the
bike.
question, what does she gain from killing Tomatake? We don't know her motives. We know nothing about Takano. Here's what we know about Takano. She kills Tomatake. She dies on the night of the Watsunegashi.
And she is interested in creepy torture things.
She's interested in the curse.
That's it.
That's all we really know about her.
Oh my god, this fucking
And she works as a nurse at the hospital.
makes my brain hurt.
Pretty sure she works as a nurse.
Yeah, because he was talking to...
Pretty sure that was set up in Watsunegashi.
Because he went to the clinic. You know what's really weird? He always goes to a clinic.
Things don't go well.
Things don't go well. And, like, he's making the same steps in every one, but at different times, it feels like.
Yeah, and this is still only the day after. Satoshi Satoshi disappeared a few days after, which means that Keiichi only has a couple days before he disappears as well. If things do repeat after Satoshi, if Keiichi's actions are repetitive as Satoshi's.
For a second there, I was like, oh, Satoshi came back and acted as Keiichi for a day. And then I was like, wait, those incidents are way too, like, identical to previous chapters.
Yeah, and even I've seen what Satoshi looks like from clips from the anime. They do look similar,
But not exact.
but they look different enough that you could easily tell the difference.
But, as Irie was saying, it could trigger a, what's it called? With the group of friends things, and as he was
Oh,
talking.
is that group theory?
Group theory. Whatever it was called.
Whatever it was called, we don't remember.
But that group theory that they just thought it was him.
I still find that unlikely, and I don't know why they would. Here's the other thing. I don't think they're lying. I don't think they're lying. I think that these paths have been starting to cross. We're starting to see these world lines, these outcomes, starting to blend together. And I think that's really going to come to a head in like the fourth chapter, and definitely in the answer arcs. We're going to probably seeing more of these crossing lines.
Oh, man.
But this is like the first taste of it, the first confusion of like, wait, what exactly is happening in Anamizawa? It's all too confusing, and we've spent enough time.
Yeah.
There are videos that we go on for like 20 minutes just making speculations. And we've already gone for 15.
Alright.
So, we gotta end it here. We will see y'all next week. We're hopefully back to
Once a week.
hopefully doing videos weekly. We've had a rough time trying to just find time to record.
Yeah.
So, hopefully we can get back into a schedule.
Real life
before
happens sometimes.
someone gets a completely different schedule, gets promoted, and no longer has time, always tired.
Always tired, always asleep. I should be sleeping right now, actually.
Yeah, so we don't have time to record a second one. Damn it. I was hoping this would be the finale and we could just do a wrap-up episode afterwards and it'd be like, yes, knocked it out.
Got it.
It's like, nope, gotta come back another day.
All right.
So we'll see y'all next time.
See you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.